Previously on Balls.
Just go through what's happened in Europe this week. It's not been as good as some weeks. We haven't had Champions League this week. We had the Capital One Cup, which is, let's just explain to South African viewers, the Capital One Cup is the British League Cup. It's been called the Milk Cup, the Littlewoods Cup,
yes.
the
Carling Cup.
The Carling Cup, thank you. And that's exactly the same as the Telkom Cup in South Africa. It's a cup that just includes the league sides. Rob Shepherd, is that you?
Speaking.
Rob Shepherd, my name is Neil Collins. You're on Bollocks in South Africa and worldwide on www.balls.co.za. Rob Shepherd, my old mate. Next to me, I've got a man here called Deshi Backtower. Deshi Backtower.
Sounds a very tall name.
It's a very tall name, and he's a very tall man. He
Hello,
played in
Rob.
goal. Deshi, just explain to Rob Shepherd, who knows his English football, which English players have you played with in your time?
Oh, lots of them. Terry Cook. There was Ron Davis in the early days.
Ron Davis, the old Southampton player.
Owen Hand was out.
Owen Hand, Portsmouth.
Morris Hapworth came from Sunderland.
Bobby Trott and Derek Dugan, were you too
That
young
was
for
before. It was 4 years before my. 3 years.
So you're
before
talking the late 60s, early 70s.
They came out here then. Deshi was in the Colts, weren't you then?
Yes, it was early 70s.
I suppose,
Yeah, early 70s. Yeah.
And then coming into later when guys like Roy Wegerle, who went on to play.
Do me a favour, this sounds bad, but could you ring me back on my mobile phone, please?
We'll do that right now, mate.
Sorry?
We'll do that right now. Rob, we'll speak to you in a second. Thanks. And Comfort, smoothly, Comfort moves into phone gear. Look, watch this. Desh?
But let me just tell you, there were lots of good players out here. Bobby Moore was out here. George Best played here. Kevin Keegan played here. Mick Shannon was here. Frank Worthington
Yes.
played for Spurs, Cape Town Spurs, for quite a while.
Yes.
He was out here for quite a while.
Frankie, Budgie Byrne was here as well, wasn't he?
That's right.
Comfort is just having a slight problem with my handwriting. This happens most weeks, and my teachers made me read my matric results, my matric papers back to them because my handwriting is so poor. I'm giving Comfort my phone so he can phone Rob
blame
back.
it on your varsity career. In
mate.
your day, you would have had to write everything.
I couldn't write. I only slide tackled. That's how it went. My favourite memory of South African football in those days, there was a guy called Peter With playing for Arcadia, playing in South African football. Derek Dugan, the famous Irish and Wolves player, came out here, spotted Peter With, took him back to Wolves, and Peter With went on to win a Champions League medal, didn't he?
Well, that's right. And years later, I spoke to the coach, the guy who was in charge of Wolves that time, Bill McGarry. And Dugan had brought Peter With to Wolves, and Bill signed him and then sold him, bought him back, and then sold him for an absolute fortune. I think he was one of the first £1 million players.
Absolutely, mate. And I think I'm hoping, and I speak to agents all the time that are trying to do this. There's a couple of Englishmen or European players. I know we had Boa Morte came out, didn't he, for a while last season. Obviously, Benny came back and finished his career here. We might see a little bit more of that, I think, in the coming seasons.
I think you're right. And there is quality in Europe. I'm almost certain.
Yeah.
And you know, this is what happened in the 80s as well with Arcs in particular and teams like Wits, Highland Spark. Lots of English players came out here. There was just so many. Steve Yates, Terry Cook, Ricky Ferguson, John Deacon, hundreds of players.
That's right. Robbie, are you back with us, Rob?
Yeah, we had a few technical difficulties, as we say correctly, yes.
That's my handwriting, mate. Rob, you've watched the Capital One Cup action this week. I was explaining to our viewers and listeners in South Africa, we've got a thing called the Telkom Cup, exactly the same League Cup. What did you think? What do you think of Arsenal, mate?
Well, disappointing. I have to say, I thought that given the run that they've had recently and the fact that they haven't won a trophy, to remind you, all Arsenal fans, since 2005, I thought this trophy might. Patrick Vieira's penalty. Do you remember?
Yeah.
If you want to define, in many ways, as how Arsenal have. What's gone wrong with Arsenal? There's many explanations. I just give you Patrick Vieira, really, in the sense of he scores the penalty that gives them the FA Cup. When he went, they lost something. Obviously, they lost goals with Henry subsequently. But Thierry Henry never really replaced him, and still lack that midfield marauder. I mean, they're talking Matthew Flamini up at the moment, who's obviously come back from Milan. Hardly the same ticket. I thought they would do well. I thought they'd beat Chelsea. But the thing with Chelsea at the moment, you leave out a couple of midfield players, and you bring in Juan Mata and Willian, and what a squad they've got. So I was disappointed. I wanted to see Arsenal do well this season, or certainly get a trophy under their belts, relieve the pressure. But I think the pressure's back on Wenger now. I don't think they'll win the league. I don't see them win the Champions League. They can't win the League Cup. And I don't think they'll win the FA Cup. So it'll be another season without a trophy.
Well, thanks very much, Rob. You're a West Ham fan, aren't you?
Yes, of course I am.
I'm forever blowing bubbles. Right, well, you've just ruined my day.
We taught the world to play football. Let's not forget that, Mr. Hammond.
Oh, no, don't say that. I'll be in trouble with the South Africans now.
We then just give all our players away to other clubs. So there you go. But we like to be givers. You know, we like to preach the word.
Oh, mate.
Listen, I agree with you. I tell you what, over the years, some great players have come from there. And don't forget as well, Redknapp got them playing. Billy Bonds, I think, was there before. Really got them playing some good football. Yeah, so I agree with you.
Deshi, like a lot of...
Those are the days when I stood on my dad's stall that he made for me so I could see above taller people's heads and watch the game from the terraces.
In the terraces, mate, when we used to stand up and watch football in England, didn't we? Rob, Deshi is a big Liverpool fan. In South Africa, there's thousands of Liverpool fans because of Liverpool's great days when the Premier League first started getting shown over here. Well, not the Premier League, the old First Division. Deshi would like to know what you think of this current Liverpool side. I've always said that Brandon Rodgers is a low horizons manager. I didn't think he'd take Liverpool back to great heights, but he actually is starting to look like he's got something going there, apart from the odd slip up.
Well, I think what they've got going there, really, I think he's done a decent job, Rodgers. I mean, I think he's too much in love with himself in many ways. That's what the word that you get. You've got to go and see an impressionist called Darren Farley. If you go on YouTube and see an impression of him with Brendan Rodgers, you might get an insight into what people think about him. But that said, he's done a good stabilising job. He's kept calm. Last season when things weren't always going well. Yep. But what he's really got, he's got two guys. He's got Suarez and Sturridge, two great strikers. I mean, the double partnership strike act has sort of gone out of fashion a little bit in English football. But it shouldn't really necessarily be. If you've got two good strikers, then why not play them constantly and consistently? Because we all know that strikers, cliche, win games. And Suarez and Sturridge, the new SAS, as they're being called in the English papers. They're taking things apart. They're both tremendously clever individuals, similar in a lot of ways, but they've been magnificent. The problem for Liverpool is January. The January transfer window. Again, the rumours are already circulating that Real Madrid will be possibly sniffing around Suarez. There's a story this week that they might offer Benzema up as part payment. Suarez wanted to go in the summer. He didn't want to go to Arsenal. He does want to go to Real Madrid. If they come knocking on the door and pay the money that will release him from Liverpool, then they see what happens. A massive January for Liverpool and the strength of Brendan Rodgers as manager. If they keep Suarez, then who knows? If not quite challenging for the title, they can be there or thereabouts. Certainly the FA Cup is there for them as well.
Yeah, mate. Arsenal had that chance to sign Suarez. I didn't like it, but because of all his background and some of the things that he does. But you've got to say, since he's come back from that long suspension for biting a few people, he does seem to have sparked things up there. Yeah, he's got teeth.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Listen, Rob. Go on.
No, I just think, I mean, you raise some interesting points, and let's just see what happens when, someone does press the red button that exists somewhere, on his body, and the mist then comes down. But thus far, he's been tremendous. And as a pure player, he's up there in the sort of the mould of the Dalglish, isn't he, in a lot of ways? And the Beardsley, he's a magician, a conjurer, and he also scores goals.
Yeah, even when he's falling over this week, wasn't it? Listen, mate, he's bitten people in Holland and he's bitten people in England, so I suppose he needs to get the chance to have a little bite in Spain. Some kind of paella-flavoured biting.
Yes, a bit of pancake in Holland, a bit of roast beef in England, and, although it wasn't an English player.
It wasn't, was it? Was it Ivanovic?
Maybe off for some tapas in Spain.
A tapas selection of bites for him in Real Madrid. Listen, mate, talking about Spain, I watched El Clasico. What did you think of El Clasico?
Yeah, I mean, it was not one of the most feisty games. Disappointing for Bale, although he did himself a huge amount of favours yesterday in the win over Seville. Although Ronaldo got a hat-trick, Bale apparently was outstanding, so he's finding his feet. The thing is, in Spain, let's be honest, it's a tremendous sight to see those two teams go head-to-head, but is it a tremendous sight to see those two teams go to head-to-head yet again in the league this season? Yeah. It's getting to the yawn factor now in La Liga, and unless they sort things out, I think the interest over there will drop off. The one thing we've still got in English football, okay, we've had teams dominating over the last 20 years since the Premier League has been formed, but there haven't been the same two teams. Yeah. Spain, for all the beauty, and also I think actually it's affecting Barcelona when it comes to the tough end of the Champions League. They do go up against teams who, funny enough, like last season, Bayern Munich, just don't actually want to let them play all the time. And they haven't shown the stomach for that in the last couple of years. Chelsea obviously called them out as well. So what I think of it, I think the El Clasico now highlights the fact that as good as Spanish football is to watch in terms of a competition, it's on the wane a little bit, and thus less of excitement. Because in England, or indeed Wales, don't forget it's the South Wales derby this Sunday.
Yes, that's right, Cardiff Swansea.
Ron Davis you mentioned Ron Davis earlier on. Some of these Welsh guys, I tell you what, it's the first time in 125 years of pro football in this country that these two teams have met in the top flight. But in past meetings in lower divisions, or lower leagues divisions, the clashes have been rather X-rated. Enter the Dragon, you might say. The Welsh Dragon on Sunday with a few Bruce Lee tackles might happen.
I don't think Bruce Lee's Welsh, but I'm sure he was at some point. Rob Shepherd, as always, mate, it's absolutely brilliant to talk to you. I'm running out of time because I have to sum up. We've got in case you've missed this in England, Robert, we've got the Orlando Pirates playing in the Champions League against Al Ahly from Egypt on Saturday in the first leg of the final of the Champions League. Big day for South Africa. So I just need to end with a bit of that. And thanks, Rob Shepherd.
How much, just quickly, how much, TV crowd, how much audience will that get? How much, is it a massive game, over in South Africa?
It is massive. It's huge. Deshi used to play for Orlando Pirates, and they are the big club. They're the only other side in South Africa ever to win it in '96. And so there is this real passion. There's a real passion. Mark Fish, who came and played in England, he played in that African Champions League winning side, and we're now trying to create a new set of legends. And I'd like you to, if you possibly can, try and get a glimpse of what happens in that game on Saturday night. It'll be 6:30 English time. I don't know if you'll be able to watch it.
Well, I should try and find someone and get a glimpse of it.
Pass on the message to your Grapevine readers on the Daily Mail that the African Champions League is sometimes well worth watching as well.
Well, I'm going to get, now you've mentioned it, I shall get a note of that in the column on Sunday. And, it can only be good for, the whole continent. There's also interesting, just finally, this week, I'm sure you've spoken about it a lot, but Michel Platini has suggested that the World Cup should be expanded to 40 teams, to include more teams from Africa and Asia. I fully endorse that. It seems most sensible. If you keep it at 32 and bring other teams in at the detriment of Europe, I don't think that's a good idea. The world has got bigger, or the world's got smaller, but with more teams in it. So let's have more teams from Africa and Asia.
Brilliant, mate. That's exactly the line to end for us here at the tip of Africa. Thank you, Rob Shepherd, the Grapevine columnist on the Daily Mail.
Cheers,
Thanks,
Rob. All the best.
Cheers. Lovely to talk to you, Tal. Cheers.
This is Bulls Visual Radio.